Alright guys, I had problems when recording this video. It's actually 3 videos stitched together to make one, alright? 3 clips that I've put together. When I'm recording a video at the moment on this iMac, QuickTime crashes after about 10 minutes. And it means I have to do like a reboot of my computer. And then when I reboot the computer, I kind of forget where I was and what I'd said in the previous 10 minutes. Yeah, so I can watch like the last few seconds and go, right, I think I was there. But obviously it's frozen. There we go. I can obviously watch the last few seconds of each clip and work out where I was, but I don't know what I said previously. So the reason I'm telling you this is I've stitched all 3 together. I'm not going to sit here and watch this video, which is in excess of 30 minutes, to make sure it all makes sense. So if I repeat things, well, I repeat things anyway all the time, you know that, or if some of it doesn't make sense, please take into consideration that I had problems recording the video. All right, so it is a long video, but it's something I wanted to discuss with you. It was just frustrating when I was making it, so you'll notice when it splits because it'll kind of cross blend. All right, guys, how's it going? It is Friday, the 20th of September 2019, and you're watching CarpTalk.tv. Hooray. So I want to speak to you about Peter Beardsley and that controversy. Just in case you haven't been following it, Peter Beardsley has been found guilty of using abusive or insulting words in reference to ethnic origin or colour while working at Newcastle United, and has been banned from football for 8 months as a result. I'll probably forget, because you know that I go off in all sorts of directions with my videos. There's no shutting me up once I start. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you in this video, and I'm going to ask you now, is do you think Peter Beardsley should be allowed to return to football after those 8 months have expired? After they've passed, you know, after he's served his punishment in effect. Should he be allowed back? Should he not be allowed back? Should he be allowed back subject to some sort of educational course or, you know, something like that? I want to explain where I am on life, right? And I'm not a lefty, right? So I don't get offended by much, really. I'm not really sure. Do you know what I mean? What offends me and what doesn't. When I say I'm not a lefty, that doesn't mean I'm on the right. So that I think it's acceptable to be a particular way. Does that make sense? So I'm neither left nor right is what I'm trying to say to you. So I'm neither a pussy or a nutcase. All right? Now, one of the worst things that anyone ever says when they're discussing racism, when they start a sentence and they go, yeah, my mate's black, it's like a pre-justification for what I'm about to say, yeah? Or what they're about to say. Ironically, my best friend is black. He's not... You see, this is where I want to say something, but it can get you into so much trouble. So, when I was a kid growing up, my elders, if you like, not my parents, but my elders, people that were maybe older, this is what I would have been tempted to say, right? Don't have a go at me and try and say I'm racist or anything, because I'm fucking not. Now, they would have said something like, oh, he's as black as a coal man, right? Because back in the day, you had coal men, didn't you? If you don't know, go on Google Images and Google coal man, right? And they say, oh, he's as black as a coal man, all right? People used to say things like that, but that didn't mean they were racist. But if you said it today, you would automatically be deemed a racist because you're not allowed to say anything like that. You're just not allowed to. It means you're a racist. You're not allowed to make a mistake or anything. It's just unacceptable. And in my videos now, I find it difficult sometimes how to refer to, because I don't know what the correct terminology is. You know, when we were growing up, you'd say mixed race, half caste, black, brown, whatever. I don't know. So I've used some of those terminologies before, and people said you can't fucking say. And it's like, well, that, you know, can someone distribute a leaflet occasionally and let me know what's right and wrong? Because I live quite I wouldn't say sheltered, but I'm not really out there. You know, I work from home. I'm quite, I don't know. I'm in a bubble, you know, and I think I've been through some things in my life, and we all have, that make me look at life differently, which is probably why I don't get offended by much. I just think, do you know what, is it really worth getting stressed about? You know, and we have become into a society that is very, everyone seems to be, you know, complaining about everything, and people complain on behalf of people that aren't complaining, you know, so it's very difficult. So anyway, my friend is neither black nor white. Do you know what I mean? So he's sort of in the middle, but he's non-white. And he's my best friend. Do you know what I mean? I love him to death. When my mum died, he came over from New York immediately to support me. And he doesn't have anything, guys. He's just, you know, he's at the very bottom of society. And he would agree with that statement. We all are. But he would in comparison, he would think that I was well off compared to how he lives. But he came over to support me. He didn't have any tattoos, and he got my mum's name and date of birth and everything, and the date that she passed on his back. He's got one tattoo, and he had done on my mum, so she loved him. And he's my boy, right? Now we banter, you know, we banter. We have, you know, like a group of friends that go on the Xbox. Me, my son, my best friend Smooth, my cousin, another friend Stu, and we banter and we take the piss out of each other. So we take the piss collectively out of Smooth because he is non-white, so we'll take a piss out of that. Our friend Stu is straight, but he's quite, you know, he comes across as a bit, you know, we take the piss and we say that he's a woofter or a wuss, or, you know, we call him gay boy and all that, so you're not allowed to do that either, yeah? I'm overweight, so they call me a fat, whatever, yeah? And Rob's a bit nondescript. Rob's not anything really, so we just find something to poke fun at him with. Do you know what I mean? But we banter and we do that. And maybe within a private environment, that's okay. Now, I know, yeah, I've got gay friends, I've got black friends, right? And I know that they don't get offended by a lot of other stuff that the people in the same brackets as them do, right? So I think a lot of it has got to do with who you are as a person. And I've always thought that when it comes to, when you have an argument with someone, I think that people tend to throw abuse at someone based on their appearance, right? So, four-eyed, whatever, fat bastard, yeah? Skinny cunt, lanky bastard, short ass, tart, fuck ginger cunt. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? And I think sometimes people would throw it around based on their skin colour as well. Like, fuck off you. Do you know what I mean? Right? Now, I think when people throw that around, I think that's anger. And does that make you a racist if you say fuck off you? Do you know what I mean? This is what used to happen. And my definition of a racist is very different to what society defines a racist today. Luis Suarez, I thought, did say some things that were unacceptable when he had that bust up with, was it Patrice Evra? But I don't believe that Luis Suarez is a racist. But if you do say something out of anger, you are deemed to be. And I would like to think that the people that watch my content come from all, you know, walks of life: black, white, male, female, straight, gay, whatever. Because I love everyone, mate. Honestly, guys, I don't understand how anyone could not like anyone based on their sexuality or their ethnicity or anything. I don't get it. And I think it's also easy for a white guy to speak up and say, well, you shouldn't be offended by that when I'm not being subjected to racism through my life. Does that make sense? Now, I live in a foreign country, and I think if people, you know, if I felt intimidated by because I was English or British or whatever, I think that would be quite upsetting. I wouldn't like to think that my neighbours didn't like me because I was English, because I'm very respectful of their community, their life, their way of life and everything. But it's very easy, you know, I wouldn't want to upset anyone that's black. Am I allowed to say that? Black, that's right, yeah. Non-white, by, you know, because I'm white and saying this is how you should be. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that there is some pussies out there. Do you know what I mean? And for me, I absolutely despise racism. And I like to have a laugh and a joke, and with every individual. And I like to you know, to push things, but I understand in society you've got to be careful today. You've got to be careful. the Peter Beardsley thing. Peter Beardsley played in the Liverpool team when I was a kid, and he was one of my heroes. He was a very exciting player. If you don't know much about him, very fast, getting around everywhere. A very creative player. I never understood that he went to Everton. That was kind of weird. So my opinion changed a little bit of him then, I guess. But in this instance, there's something. Let me just load up the thing I was reading. With this example with Peter Beardsley, the immediate person I think of with this is John Barnes. I would like to know. Fucking that little Mark's been there all day, hasn't it? I would like to know what John Barnes thinks of this. I listen to John Barnes speak. John Barnes is my absolute legend. He's my favourite Liverpool player of all time, and I like to listen to John Barnes speak about racism. He comes across very well, whereas I think, for example, Stan Collymore, sometimes I think and I've got nothing against Stanley, I think that Stan sometimes makes things worse. Is that possible? Because when you, I wouldn't say trivialise, but when you pick the smallest thing that clearly wasn't meant to be racist or wasn't anything along those lines, and then big it up to someone it's like you're making it worse, because it angers me that. Do you know what I mean? Like someone will say something and say, are you being racist? And it's like, you quite clearly they weren't being racist. Do you know what I mean? It's such an awful topic. But I do wonder what John Barnes thinks of this Peter Beardsley thing. Now, apparently the 3 breaches, right? He called one player a monkey. An anonymous player issued a statement which read, "We were playing in the gym and one of the black players was dancing around and Peter made a monkey reference, but you could take that one or two ways." I can't remember exactly in terms of the terminology which was used, but off the top of my head it was something like, "Look at A being a monkey." Now, I wasn't there. I don't know. If he'd been white and he was doing the same actions in the gym, and he'd said, you could say, couldn't you, well, look at him being a monkey. But, so he could say it to a black person with the same intention of it he'd said it to a white person, but you're not right in the head, are you, if you say that, because it could be misinterpreted. You'd be like, you just don't say that, do you guys? You just don't do that. So, that's wrong, in my opinion. That's just like, in my opinion, that is like, are you right in the head? Why would you say that when even if you didn't mean it and you would have said it to a white person, right? You're just opening yourself up for that. So that, I can't hammer him for that, but I would say absolute stupidity. The reason I can't hammer him is because I don't know of his intentions. Here's another one. Questioning the age of an African player in the youth system. Another anonymous player statement was issued. Last season I wasn't in the under-18 squad, and the next day he was quizzing me about not being in the squad, and he said, "That's because you are not 18. I took this to be a reference to players of African origin forging papers regarding their age. And I took it because I am big that I was older. The same was said to another player." Now guys, this is the first time I've read this. I just wanted to make a video about Peter Beardsley and the John Barnes thing. I was thinking of the two side by side. Because two great Liverpool players, two legends if you like, two players that were in a Liverpool team that when I was, when Liverpool was really like my thing, because I was like a kid and it meant everything. Like these days, I'm more interested in a Sunday dinner, as you know, a decent meal or something. But when you're I think when you're a kid, it's anyway, whatever. So I didn't know. I'd heard I've heard it debated on the radio today. I was going to say wireless. I've heard it debated on the radio today. I've obviously heard it on the news yesterday, and I hadn't read the actual things. I knew that the word monkey had been used, which makes it sound terrible. So these are I've never read these things, okay? But I'm just thinking there. Another anonymous player statement was issued. Last season I wasn't in the under-18s, and the next day he was quizzing me about not being in the squad, and he said, "That's because you are not 18. I took this to be a reference to players of African origin forging papers regarding their age. And I took it because I am big that I was older. The same was said to another player." So I want to convict Peter Beardsley with the charges against him based on what I've been hearing on the radio and on the news yesterday. But that's like, why would somebody think that it was a reference to players of African origin forging papers? But maybe these lads here, right? Maybe there's a lot more that we don't know about? Because I think some journalist said that and said I think only half of this has come out. So maybe there is digs in. Maybe, do you know what I mean? But just looking at that, I'm thinking, what's that all about? Do you know what I mean? Unless he's been making these sort of digs all the time. But again, I can't, you know, I just don't understand that one. When the squad attended an event at Go Ape, Beasley said a black player should be used to that. Now, here we go. So, another anonymous player statement read, when we were at Go Ape, what the fuck is Go Ape? I'm Googling that, guys. Oh. Go Ape. I've no idea what it is. This says an outdoor adventure company that organises rope courses at the top of trees under the names of Treetop Challenge. Okay. So the squad attended an event at Go Ape. Beasley said a black player should be used to that. I'm clicking around on my screen because these videos keep crashing. Okay, when I'm recording. We should be used to that, which I took to be a reference to climbing the trees. But Peter said, I'm not being funny, and tried to explain it was a reference to climbing mountains. But at the time, we weren't climbing mountains, we were climbing a tree. I'm not being funny, is all he ever says after he makes a comment. Beasley was sacked as a coach of the under-23 side in March when he issued the following statement. The time is now right for me to seek a new challenge, and I wish the players all the best and the supporters the success they deserve. I've always honoured my contractual obligations of confidentiality to the club and maintained my silence, which has in itself been very difficult. I'm incredibly grateful for the tremendous support I've received, and I look forward to the future. So those are the three breaches of FA Rule E3, and he was found guilty on all three, and he denied them. I think there's more to this. I would probably, be inclined to go with the journalist that said there's more to this, because I think those three examples, I don't want to say they're not as bad as I thought, because you guys will think I'm defending them. I'm really not. I'm really not. And I hate that, because I hate that you even have to explain that. I'm trying to have a serious discussion with you for once. And these players, you're not telling me they've made this up. You're not telling me that these three players have all conspired against Beardsley because they don't like him or something. Maybe they have. I don't know. But he's been found guilty of it, so it's irrelevant what I think, I guess. I thought it was going to be a case of reading examples. I need to read this. It's a voice message. I can't play that at the moment. I need to... Sorry, I'm confused with the message. I don't need to do anything. What was I going to say? I was expecting to read terminology of, and it was going to be along the lines of, well, he's from another generation, he was using words he shouldn't have said. Like I said to you, sometimes I don't know what to say. And I'm only 45, just 45. It was my birthday a week ago today, did I tell you? Did you No. The link's in the video description below if you want to get me a pint. I'll shout out on the next video. Do anything for a pint. Well, most things. Do you know what I mean, guys? So anyway, the point I'm trying to say is I heard about these allegations ages ago. Didn't read into them until the first time I've read what's said is in this video. I thought this video was going to be about me saying, he's a silly old bastard, I don't know. The thing is, guys, we do live in a society where everyone is offended by everything. I have the absolute utmost respect for using this example, non-white people that in life can say, do you know what, that doesn't offend me. Not this example, that doesn't offend me. When someone's trying to spin it and make it bad, but this does. And we have to listen to people that have been subjected to racist abuse, right? I have some mint friends out here, right? One of my bestest friends in the world out here is called Leroy, right? Now, you see, I want to make a joke about that and say, Leroy, there you go, that's not very stereotypical. But I'm not allowed to do that, am I? Because is that racist for me to say, my mate's called Leroy, but you expected that? But you can't even say that, can you? And with all the best intentions of the world, you know that I'm not being funny about it in an awful way. My best friend's called Leroy, right? And ironically, my other close friend out here who's a Liverpool fan is also called Leroy. There's two black lads and they're both called Leroy. Leroy C, Leroy Smokes. Two different lads. My third friend because this is like they were in a group. They're a group, you know, performers here. Is called Kojo. So there's three black lads, right? And then the fourth lad that I see occasionally, that's also on the circuit, you know, in terms of an entertainer, is called Mark. He's black, and a really good friend of mine as well. I forgot his name. That's how much of a good friend he is. Jonathan, right? He is a good friend of mine, honestly. There's just that many people out here. So there's Jonathan, Mark, Leroy Smokes, Leroy C, and Kojo. They're all black lads, 5 lads, right? Mint. You couldn't meet nicer people. They've all got different personalities. Really cool. I spend a lot of time with Leroy C. You know, we go out and have lunch occasionally. You know, he'll buy me a steak dinner, or I'll buy him a breakfast and stuff. And we talk about racism issues a lot, you know, because he gets people coming up to him saying, you know, you're all right actually, aren't you? And he'll go, I'm sorry, I'm all right. And he'll go, you know, considering you're black, you're all right. And it's like, that is not acceptable, is it? Do you know what I mean? He looks at me and goes, do you know what I mean, Dunk? I want you to smack her in the face. And I'm like, you know, totally get it. Now, I remember being in a pub with 4 of those guys, Mark, the 2 Leroys, and Kojo. One night, the chick was with me, yeah, and this is me poking fun at society. This is me poking fun at what people try to suggest. Right? This isn't my thinking. What I'm about to say to you, I'm being very clear on this. Right? This is like what society, you know, the racist fucks think. Right? So we're all stood there in this bar. So we've got four black lads, big black lads, right? Me, chick, right? And they're all stood there, and they know I'm cheeky, right? And I stood there, and I looked at her, and I went, "What's your handbag near this lot, love, for you?" And all 4 of them were like, "You fucker, Duncan, you fucking." Do you know what I mean? Because you know what I was like suggesting, yeah. But you're not allowed to do that. But that's amongst friends, and that's private. That's different. What's acceptable to them may not be acceptable to someone else. But that's just my sense of humour. You know, they can joke about me, they can do what they want. And if anyone was racist to them in front of me, I'd be the first one to step in. I deplore it. But unfortunately, you can't banter with people that you don't know, because that might offend them, genuinely offend them. And yes, I am bothered about people being genuinely offended. I'm just not bothered about idiots that are offended about stuff that try to make things into something which clearly aren't that. And then that makes things worse. I think sometimes people play the race card when it's not warranted, and that makes things worse. This video so far is 3 videos put into one, because it just freezes, guys. Listen, I need your help, man. I'm using an iMac QuickTime, and for some reason after 9 minutes, 10, 11, 12 minutes, it's freezing. QuickTime just freezes, and I have to completely reboot the system. And I've tried everything. Can anyone help me out? Because it's doing me head. Either that, can you just buy me a really good PC and I'll just put this in the fucking bin. So I've tried to address a serious subject here. I'll always be me. I'll always try and have a joke about anything. I just think, you know, you've got to be like that. And sometimes you do offend people. Ricky Gervais, I see his comments all the time, you know, about when he's offending people, and it's like, it should be about intention. I think if you intentionally go out to hurt someone, to throw a racist remark around, or any abusive remark, which is nothing to do with racism, then that makes you a cunt. Do you know what I mean? If you sometimes, maybe people say things in anger that they don't mean. This situation with Peter Beardsley is an odd one, but Peter Beardsley is an odd one, isn't he? And unfortunately, there was I haven't seen any quotes from him, you know, explaining his side of it. They were saying, you know, that he just denied it. I would like to have seen Peter Beardsley come out and go, because if that was me, you, right? And let's just say that on those 3 counts, your words were misunderstood, or maybe you didn't mean to say it, or you didn't whatever. You would defend yourself. I'd be all over the radio today, and I'd be all over television. I'd be like, listen, this is not how it was. This is my right to reply is this is what I said, what I meant. Looking back, that was wrong. You'd be doing everything to justify yourself. So the fact that he hasn't come out yet and said anything makes me wonder a little bit, but there is time. I have over the years, when people have had a go at me, and accused me of things, when because I've had big problems with haters, especially 10 years or so ago when I run some people off my website. They spent a lot of time smearing me, and people would say to me, "Why don't you respond? Why don't you?" And I used to think, "Why should I fucking? Hang on, fucking! You'd have to be an idiot to believe that." Do you know what I mean? And sometimes with something as serious as this, and if you're a somebody, I'm a nobody. If you're a somebody like Peter Beardsley in that community, in the football community, you think that he would be doing everything he could to put his version across. But I want to be very, very clear here, guys. I am not defending Peter Beardsley at all. I just wanted to review the situation, what was said, which I've done for the first time with you. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that. But I'm not saying that I'm making it trivial either. You say, I've got to be so fucking careful. I just thought, Peter Beardsley, John Barnes, together celebrating goals. What does John Barnes think about this? I want to see John Barnes on the radio. I want to hear him on the radio. I want to see John Barnes coming out and saying this about Peter. I don't know what their relationship's like anyway, post LFC. I wouldn't know if there is even a relationship there. Going back in the day, Peter Beardsley was considered a bit different. I remember going to a golfing thing out here once with Roy Evans and Steve McMahon, and I remember they were saying some stories about Peter Beardsley, but nothing bad, but that it was different. It really was different. There's that mark again. To change my top, guys. So I welcome your thoughts on it. Let's try and keep it sensible. There's no reason why it wouldn't be sensible anyway. I hope I haven't offended anybody that is non-white or whatever, because that's not my intentions. And if I have, then there must be something. I don't know what I could have done wrong. Maybe I have told you examples of jokes I have had with my friends who were not offended, so why should you be? Because we're friends. We can insult each other as we want. Would I have said that to 4 complete strangers, for example? Absolutely not, because that would be wrong. Do you know what I mean? So we all banter, don't we, with our friends? But I do welcome, if you in particular are a black person, what do you what's your take on this Peter Beardsley thing? Does it ruin your, I don't want to say respect, or your opinion of him if you're in the generation like me that watched Peter Beardsley play for Liverpool? Does this now ruin, or do you think, whenever something comes up to do with court cases or things like this, I always think, I work there, I don't know to believe, I don't know. Sometimes people get charged with things and even convicted of things, and it still doesn't mean that they did it. We've seen that before in life. I do think, though, that there is something to this. That's my personal opinion. But I was hoping to put it down to generation, maybe speak from years ago or something like that, which maybe it is, but I can't even do that. So I'm just confused by it, guys. And like I said, I'd love to know what John Barnes says about it. If you've seen John Barnes comment anywhere about Peter Beardsley, let me know. I'm going to have a look online in a moment and see if I can find anything. So it is an awful situation, and we shouldn't, I shouldn't, as a white person, say to a black person, you shouldn't be offended by that. You should laugh it off. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I know some of my black friends would say that to other black people. They don't be offended by that. For fuck's sake, there's nothing in it. So everyone's different, aren't they? Everyone's different. Is Luis Suarez a racist? Do you think Luis Suarez is a racist? I don't think Luis Suarez is a racist. I think he ran his mouth in the heat of the moment, and he's also from a part of the world where maybe certain words are acceptable. At the end of the day, I just we can't all get on with everything, with each other. politics is a prime example of that at the moment in the United Kingdom in terms of the Brexit scenario. You know, I see good friends with opposing views to mine. I see good friends arguing with other good friends, and it's like I stay out of it, guys. Me, do you know? I like laugh at everything. Honestly, I laugh at everything. Life's too short, and we are all very different people. I hate racism. I can joke about anything and any subject. But I just think that I can't get my head around how someone could not like someone because of their skin colour or their religion or their sexuality. I just don't get that, mate. I don't get that. I mean, I even like Man United fans. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so, long video. I guess I've missed you. I guess I wanted to talk to you. I need to do something for DKB.TV now. It's 1:20 in the afternoon here. I like to have a laugh and a giggle with you. I thought this was a bit of a serious subject, and I'm just hoping it gets received in the intention that it's supposed to, and that someone doesn't try and, you know, make it into something that's not, because I'm certainly not like that. Okay, so I welcome your thoughts on Peter Beardsley. John Barnes, great ambassador for the club. John Barnes is not, John Barnes is not one of them people that, I don't know, he just talks it right, doesn't he? He explains it well. And like I say, unless you've been subjected to racism and that, you probably maybe haven't got a right to even a fucking opinion. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like my best friend here in Spain, Leroy C. We talk about racism a lot and the experiences he has, and I ask him. I'll say, have you had that through your life? And it's unbelievable the shit they get here. And also my boy Smooth in America. We were in the Hilton Hotel once in New York City, and I walked in a lift with him and a Chinese guy. So there was 3 of us in a lift, but there was about 20 people waiting for the lift. And I walked into the lift with them too, and nobody else walked in the lift. And the lift closed, and I was like, what? And the Chinese guy said to my mate Smooth, he went, minorities, huh? As if to say, like, them people have not come in the lift because of us two. And I can't get my head around that. I mean, that's really weird. But, America's like, no offence. See, I might be offending an American now. Strange. And it's Smooth when he gets stopped by the police in America. He's like, the minute the police car pulls me over, Dunk, if they ever pull him over, routine things and that, he went, I put my hands out of the window like this so they can see me. He went, even though I haven't been instructed to put my hands out, I'm putting my hands out like that. I ain't taking no chances. And I'm like, really? He's really like that? He's like, yeah. And he went, look how, we all went to Walmart, right? This is a true story. Me, Mrs. Charlotte, my daughter, Robert, my son, Mrs.'s son, Smooth, and his missus, big gang of us. We were all in like some shopping mall or something like that. We went to Walmart, but we were walking out of the store. So what? Say there's 10 of us. I've no idea how many there was. Say there's 10 of us, 8, 9, 10 of us, or whatever. We're all white apart from Smooth. Who got stopped just to make sure he had nothing on him? Exactly. So, But another thing he used to say to me, he used to say, when we were kids and we'd be on the bus, and he went, we used to argue, about where we could sit on the bus, because obviously if you know your history, you'll know that there used to be issues about black people on buses and that. And he said, we used to argue about where we could sit on the bus. He went, we didn't even want to sit there, but it was a principle thing. So I don't know. I just wish everyone could just respect everyone for who they are. We all make mistakes. And maybe sometimes, different generations maybe say things they shouldn't say. So I guess maybe you have to judge it on individual scenarios and situations and stuff like that. Talking too long, Duncan. Talking too long. But it's a serious video. It's a serious video for once. And hopefully it'll go down all right. But this Peter Beardsley one, guys, I'm not so sure that I can defend him. Like, I neither want to defend him or condemn him. I just wanted to see what was actually said, you know. And the claims are a bit weird, but I guess the guys that are making those allegations are saying he was like this all the time. So, you know, I think I would err towards them, I think, on this. But I don't know. So, let me know your thoughts about this case and Peter Beardsley, and does it tarnish who he is to you? Or maybe you're from a generation now, you didn't see him play and you don't give a shit, you know? And by all means, if you are non-white, you throw in your experiences of life and all that. I can't stand racist people. I can't stand it, guys. Yeah, one love.